Hello, my fellow weirdlings, it's Margot, and today I'll be telling you about 4 unsettling stories that have been recounted to me by the people who experienced them, while I work on an original mini art project inspired by them. If you're ready to get spooked and spine tingled, keep watching. Our first story comes from Corbin, who we also heard from last week. My friends and I went to an abandoned house out in the country last September. One of those friends was a psychic medium, and we had one of those ghost box apps on our phone. The way the house was set up was a very old farmhouse. The stairs leading to the second floor were very steep. There was a broken up balcony looking over the stairs where 3 of my friends sat. I was at the edge of the stairs. My psychic medium friend was in the doorway of the bedroom upstairs. I remember seeing a black figure that looked about the size of a 10-year-old creep into my sight at the bottom of the stairs. He peered up at me and cocked his head in curiosity. We got a few words on our ghost app, like whisper, closet, and basement. The figure crept up the stairs and sat probably at the 4th stair up and just turned around and kept watching out for us on the ground floor. All of a sudden, after we had gotten the word whisper on the ghost app, myself and my psychic medium friend heard whispers. He touched the doorway and it shocked him and he freaked out. He then told me to touch the doorway, and it felt like I touched a live wire fence. Just as suddenly as the whispers came, they stopped when we were shocked. The air felt different, and both my psychic medium friend and I said almost at the same time, "We need to leave." Guess maybe that's why the house was abandoned. I hope we'll be hearing more from you, Corbin. Next, we have a childhood story from Chaotic World of the Unicorn, whose family lives in a house that's given them all some interesting stories to tell. She says, "This is one of the earliest memories I can remember of experiencing anything paranormal. As a young kid, age 4 or 5, my mom said I used to talk to a little girl, that I would be playing with my dolls with someone. One time, when my mom was organizing her closet, I asked her if she could turn on the TV. She turned it on. A few minutes later, I asked again, 'Can you turn on the TV?' She thought I was turning it off, but I didn't have the controller with me. I said, 'The girl is turning it off, not me.' My mom was freaked out because only static would play on the TV. A similar thing happened when my cousin was babysitting me. She heard me laughing and talking to someone in a different room. She went to go see who I was talking to. No one was there but me. She asked, 'Who are you talking to?' I said, 'The girl,' and pointed at an empty space. My cousin quickly got chills, grabbed me, and ran outside. At age 9 or 10, I remember I had to go to bed early due to having school the next day. I was trying to sleep but couldn't, and looked towards my nightlight. I was in shock because there was a little boy with pitch black eyes and hair. He was just sitting there hugging his arms staring at me. He wasn't smiling, angry, just a neutral face. He didn't have a normal skin tone, he had a blue to white skin tone. Almost as if he was a corpse. I was extremely scared, but just looked the other way hoping he would leave. Eventually I fell asleep. I have no idea why I didn't run away. I hope you'll share more of your experiences with us, Chaotic. Our next story comes from Aurastrip, another spooky house dweller who asked, "Did anyone grow up in a house with a lot of activity in it? And if so, what was the experience that will stay with you forever?" Mine was when I was around 11 years old. I was always sensitive to energies and could see, but I remember going through something which was quite traumatic, and I went into a depression even at the age of 11. The energy in the house started to turn. I felt on edge, exhausted, and so low. I felt constantly watched. The corner of my room was so much darker. I felt nervous. Anyway, by the door, where the darkness was, it was freezing cold. I was getting sleep paralysis often. I complained to my mom about it and asked her to sleep in the room with me. Next morning, she said she couldn't believe how awful the vibe felt in my room and had noticed how pitch black it was and felt the feeling of being watched. We decided to go to a group session where the medium would host. I have mediums in my family, but they live abroad and we didn't want to bother them. Anyway, the lady picked me out from the crowd halfway through and told me that what I have around me isn't good, it's not family, and I need to tell it to F off. So me and my mom decided to put crystals in my room, salt around everything, and tell it to F off. So here I was, little me at 11, telling this energy to F off. It didn't happen overnight. We had to do a few cleanses, but it finally went. Before this, I did see a lot more things beforehand, but I never felt as intimidated as I did then. I also noticed, once gone, my mood had changed and had so much more energy. What made this memorable for me is because it was the first ever banishing I did with my mom. My brother now actually sleeps in this room, and he said he gets sleep paralysis all the time. As I mentioned last week, I'd like to do an entire video on sleep paralysis and other disturbing sleep experiences, so send those my way. I have experienced night terrors, sleep paralysis, and sleepwalking, along with incidents of injuring myself and others while asleep. So for as long as I can remember, I've found this topic really fascinating. Our final story this week comes to us from Mars. The person, not the planet. I saved the weirdest for last. Mars shares with us. On my 13th birthday, me and my friends all hung out at my dad's house located near a lot of farms. We had a plan to do a seance because what else are bored teenagers supposed to do in the middle of nowhere? So once the sun had set and my dad went to bed, my friend E got out his supplies. He had just barely gotten into witchcraft and assured us he knew what he was doing. Looking back on it now, as a now witch, he did not know what he was doing. After chugging some energy drinks, we lit some red candles on the dining room table, set a bowl of water in the middle, and joined hands. We offered our energy to whatever spirits were in the room and asked them to use that to contact us. Once we had all felt that there was something there, E took out a pendulum. We asked the stupid questions like, do you want to hurt us, and will one of us die tonight? To which the spirits said no. What we managed to get out of them was that they were supposedly one of the girl's ancestors here to watch over her. They didn't particularly like us, but they didn't hate us. However, since we used zero protection, there is no way to be sure of who we spoke to that night. After the seance, I felt drowsy. It had taken a lot out of me. However, I'd talked about an abandoned mill in the woods earlier, and everyone wanted to go see it. E had some tarot cards and had a reading for what would happen there. It ended up not making sense, so we scrapped it and went outside. The farther we got away from the house, and the closer we got to the mill, the more I had this feeling as if a parasite had crawled into my chest and started eating me from the inside out. I don't suffer from anxiety, so this was weird. Once we got to the mill, the feeling completely stopped. With our headlamps on, we looked around the mill and didn't see much, just ruin and garbage. There was a dirt trail that extended to a nearby bridge, so we decided to go on that. We didn't get far when E spotted a skinny humanoid figure that was curled up and rocking back and forth in the middle of the path. After pointing it out, we all quietly took a peek. It was there, all right. Not wanting to risk ourselves any more than we already had, we ran as fast as we could. The sun was rising. We got the guts to go back and check the spot. There were no other footprints than our own, and a pool in the snow of what looked like soggy meat. I sometimes wonder if what we saw was a creature from Native American myth. I do live in the Midwest after all. Well, we all have that one friend who always knows how to keep things interesting, don't we? Perhaps some of us are that friend. Well, that's all I have for you today. I hope you've enjoyed these stories and will come back for more. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and bring your friends, family, COVID pod, cult members, invisible friends, or enemies. And if you want me to share your story, I'll leave my contact info in the description box. Thanks so much for watching.